tell you my experience of him. He is brilliant. He has a PhD from an accredited school. It wasn't given honorarily like mine was. Our doctorate of religious science is an honor degree. This man actually earned his at a university. And he is one of the most generous people I have ever met. If you go to his website, there is a category, things to share. For practitioners, ministers, lay people, just ideas to share. Very, very generous. And he has shared many things on leadership. He was the first person, the first center to be simultaneously both a member of United Centers for Spiritual Living and International Centers for Spiritual Living, very much involved in the integration and in that healing, and now serves a huge honor of being the very first president of the Centers for Spiritual Living, which is our combined organization. And it is that idea of this consciousness that works for everyone, that heals the world, that transforms the world. Speaking today on extreme happiness, please welcome Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse.
Good morning. Thank you for having me with you this morning. I'm going to start with some bragging too. Being involved in the creation of our new organization, Centers for Spiritual Living, I knew that how we started would make a big difference in how we move forward as an organization. So I very intentionally looked across our field of leaders and actually approached one of our ministers to be in service and to run for the Leadership Council. There was only one that I asked. The others did their own thing, but I asked Dr. Heather to put her name forward, and she did. And of course, yes. Thank you. Those applause are from me because I have such good judgment. And of course, you know she's the chair of our Leadership Council now, and I absolutely endorse that, and she is doing a marvelous job guiding our leadership to this new way of being in the world. So this one's for you. Thank you. And I do actually bring you some gifts this morning, and we're going to start with one that's going to go up, I think, on the screen right now. I don't have a clicker. There it is. That's it. This is a prayer. Y'all are familiar with different organizations and spiritual movements that have prayers that they're identified by. Well, I've had colleagues say to me, why don't we have one? And I think we do have one. And, you know, it's like, you know, AA has the Serenity Prayer. Some of you are probably in AA. Don't raise your hand. It's anonymous. However, the Serenity Prayer, and then there's the Lord's Prayer, and there's all these prayers that are identified with certain spiritual movements. I like this one, and I would like to share it with you. And the way I'd like to do this is I'd like you to close your eyes for a moment, let me share it with you, and then open your eyes, and let's all say it together. This is how it goes. I know that within myself there is that life which is perfect, complete, divine. It was never born and cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now. And so it is. Now let's do it together, okay? I know that within myself there is that life which is perfect, complete, divine. It was never born and cannot die, for it lives and is God. Within myself is the wholeness, peace, poise, and power of life. This life is health, it is abundance, it is love. There is one life, and it is the life of God, and this is my life now. And so it is. Isn't that amazing? Yeah. Boy, if there's any one prayer, and I believe that Dr. Holmes wrote this, And if there's one prayer that absolutely encapsulates what we believe, that really does it for me. So if you want that, all you have to do is send me an email and I will send it to you. All right, jwaterhouse@csl.org. You can remember that. Okay, all right, good. All right, so I do have some other things that I want to share with you. I want to talk about happiness today, but not just your average, everyday sort of hum-ho, sure, I'm happy kind of happiness. I want to talk about extreme happiness. I want to talk about that place where people really excel at being happy. This has been an issue that I've had going on with my own wife for a long time. She's always said happiness is the most important thing. And for a long time I said, no, clarity is more important. It's more important to be clear than to be happy. And we go back and forth and back and forth. Well, she's in charge, so we, on Sunday mornings for many years, would say together at the beginning of our celebration, we would say, today is a happy day. Say that with me. Today is a happy day. She'd get everybody to say it just like that every Sunday morning. And then one weeknight, I don't remember what night it was, she was working in her office and she had a little TV on the wall in her office. She had it on while she was working, and it was 2020. The ABC News show was on, and the subject was happiness. And during that show, the interviewer asked one of the experts, they had a number of experts, many questions about who's happy. And one of the questions was, what city in America is the happiest city? And the expert said, Asheville, North Carolina. Whoa! The phone started ringing. We did that. And I believe we did, because happiness is contagious. And the idea of the contagiousness of happiness is not new. Hafiz once said, in a wonderful poem, he said, I caught a happy virus last night. It's extremely contagious, so kiss me. And it's true. Happiness is contagious. You can walk into a room and be absolutely gloriously happy. No matter what everybody else is doing, they'll start getting happy too. So we work on happiness. And there's actually been quite a bit of research done recently on the idea of extreme happiness. The idea that we're moving a little fast for me there. Whoever's in charge of the button back there, but we'll get there. Okay, there we go. Okay. So as I say, extremely happy people are, we're going to hit the next one, okay? Because I got 9 of these for you. And we're going to look at these and talk about them. So I think you might have some kind of a premonition about what the first one is. Extremely happy people are, well done, are passionate about life. They're passionate. They're excited about, they get up in the morning and it's oh God, it's morning, not oh God, it's morning. They're happy to get up and do whatever is theirs to do. Even if some of the stuff may be hard, they're going to do it anyway. And I have a great story about using passion in your life to create happiness. You see, we're not trying to create happiness outside of ourselves. It's here. We are the point of the happiness. So we bring the happiness to the game. And by doing that and being passionate about life, wonderful things happen. So here's my story. One of the things that I get to do as president of our organization is I get to write occasionally for our magazine, Science of Mind. We have 2 magazines, and you know that. We have Science of Mind and we have Creative Thought. And I write an article every month now in Creative Thought, but occasionally I get to write one here. And during the summer, I was asked to write an article about the flow of circulation, the law of circulation. And we were in the middle of our Summer Prosperity series, and we have an affirmation that we say, every summer we do this, and we get everybody to do it and learn it and recite it. We do say it every day, every day, every day, and it really just creates this momentum in our awareness of our prosperous nature. This is how it goes. I got to close my eyes. I can't look at you and say this. I, John, know that God is the source of all supply, and that money is God in action. I know that my good is here now. I am so rich and so full that I have an abundance of money to spare and to share today and always. I know that true prosperity includes perfect health, perfect wealth, and perfect happiness. This word which I speak in faith knowing now activates universal law, and I accept the results. I bless all that I have now, and I bless the increase. And I know that I prosper every day, and so it is. We say that over and over and over and over again. Barbara will get people to say it 100 times a day. And it's wonderful. And things happen. People have gotten houses. People have gotten cars. People have had money that they found in bags on the ground. They have had money literally fall out of the sky. Truly, I swear it happened. So, all of these things happen, and so I said, well, I'm just going to write my article about that. So I did. I put my article in Science of My magazine, or I contributed this article, and it had that in it. And I made a bold statement at the end of the article, and that was that if you say this affirmation every day for 28 days, I promise you something wonderful will happen. Kind of bold. But I did it, and the article came out in September. Not much fanfare. I didn't hear much about it, but that was fine. I enjoyed writing the article. And then it was somewhere in the middle of October that I got a call from a couple in Los Angeles that I didn't know. And they said that they really liked my article and that they had taken it on as a challenge. And they had gotten very excited and passionate about it, and that they were saying it every day, many times. They would say it to each other. They would say it together. They would say it separate. They were just having fun with it. And on the 28th day of doing that, they won the California lottery. I know. So you're going to want to get your copy of the September issue of Science of Mind. But it's not the words. It's the passion. It's their excitement, their enthusiasm, and their believing something wonderful is going to happen because I said so. But they did. They absolutely believed it. And actually, I'm driving up to Los Angeles tomorrow to meet them. Yeah. Isn't that wonderful? Yeah, so I'm very excited about that. It was a $7 million prize that day. Woo-hoo! So, happiness. People who are happy, who are extremely happy, they're passionate about life. That's the first thought. The second thought I want to share with you is extremely happy people are not defined by the facts. They live from principle. They're not defined by the facts. They live from principle. And what that means to me is that in life, sometimes things aren't so pretty. Sometimes it doesn't look so good. But you don't give up your happiness over that. You don't stop being happy because something doesn't feel quite right. You're still happy. The very best example I ever heard of this came from the Dalai Lama, when a reporter asked him how he could be so happy when China had taken his country. And he said, my dear friend, China has taken my country. Why should I give them my happiness too? And I guarantee you that the Dalai Lama has touched more lives being out of Tibet than he ever would have being in Tibet. Yes. So there's God in the midst of it all. So the idea of not letting the facts of your life, which are stagnant, which are snapshots, which may exist in a moment but are not intended to be there always, be the course of your life, will not make you happy. What will make you happy is to transcend that into whatever you're choosing for your life, and to know that there's something bigger for you than the circumstances of yesterday. So many people talk about, they talk in the present about what happened yesterday, and it's like they're dragging it with them. And it's heavy, and it's hard, and it doesn't make your life better. So if there's something that has not worked out in the past, let it go. Let it go. It doesn't serve you any longer. And talk about who you are in the midst of things, that you are that divine presence that can create anything you choose. And by doing that, you get a different result. Keep talking about what hasn't worked in the past. You keep talking about those facts, and you'll keep getting the same result and even more difficult ones. Dr. Robert Bitzer said, we do not abandon principle, especially on special occasions. Meaning that when something doesn't go the way we want, we don't go, oh, well, all this science of mind stuff, it really doesn't apply. See, you don't know how bad things are in my life. And what I want to say to you is you don't know how big your God is. And maybe you want to revisit that. Maybe you want to remember how good you've got it and be happy. And from that place of happiness, you create the thing that you desire, the thing that you want. And you no longer linger in that place of not having enough of whatever it is. Extremely happy people don't react to circumstances. They respond to them. That would be on the next one. Hello. That's good. All right, we're there. So here's the deal about this one. We have this natural thing that we have in our reptilian brain that goes fight or flight. So something crazy happens, and immediately our body goes into this thing where either we're going to take on whatever is going on with us, or we're going to turn and run as fast as we can. Fight or flight. You know what happens when that adrenaline starts running in our bodies is that all of our blood goes to our extremities. because we have to use our extremities in that circumstance. The problem is when that happens, we get really stupid because there's no blood in our brains anymore. So we forget. So the idea here is don't react, respond, take a breath, think about it. Don't get caught up in it immediately. Watch what's coming out of your mouth. And I want you to know, if I can watch what's coming out of my mouth, anybody can, because I am the ultimate extrovert. Oftentimes, I've never even considered the possibility until I hear myself say it. You've really got to watch that. You've really got to watch that and give yourself a moment to respond to a circumstance clearly and definitively. That will allow you to stay in your joy, to stay in your happiness. Because oftentimes, if you put it out too quickly, I heard some of those after the election last week, then you have to do that cleanup thing. You know, and sometimes when you have to eat your words, they're just not that tasty. So take the moment to respond, and you can keep your happiness level up through the whole thing. You don't have to give your happiness level away, as we said before, because something doesn't go so well, because things don't meet your expectations. Life is filled with unrealized expectations. Isn't that? That's not news. What's news is how you process that information. And if you can do it from your joy, then you'll find God in the midst of it, no matter what. The next one is, extremely happy people always consider their options. Many people, when they get into that stressful situation and they forget their happiness, they suddenly think they don't have any choices. How many times in counseling has somebody come and said, I have no choice? Of course you do. There's always choice. You could leave. You could quit. You could die. Those are choices, you know. You could forgive them. You could love them anyway. There's always a choice. Always a choice. We get rigid in our lives, and happiness and rigidity don't go together. So if you're finding yourself being rigid, taking a hard stand on something, check yourself out. You're probably not real happy about what's happening. But if you stay in your joy, what happens is you stay flexible. You're able to create the life that you want. I do it all the time. I find myself wanting to tense up and go to war with somebody over something. You would imagine in a position as president of an organization, not everybody agrees on everything. But it has never served me to take that kind of an offensive position. What I do instead is I love them no matter what. And what happens is it all works out. I've got a wonderful colleague who's retired, who was not happy that when United had a retirement fund for its ministers, which was not working out. It was one of those things, if we have any insurance people in the room, it's called defined benefits program. And that means that you get a whole lot of stuff that you never put the money in for. And it really doesn't work. So we realized that, and we had to put it to bed, and we distributed the remaining funds, and everybody just kind of sucked it up and dealt with it, except for a couple ministers, and one in particular has struggled with that from time to time, and every so often sends me a pretty nasty email reminding me about how everything was taken from her and her life was ruined and all that. And last week I sent her an email and made note that she had always been a wonderful teacher of truth, and when did she change her mind and decide to be a victim? She was not pleased with that. But fortunately, I had enough good sense to revisit that and to remind her how much I loved her and how much I respected all she had given to our movement over the years, and that if she ever wanted to pray with me, all she has to do is call. And I got an email back this morning where she said she couldn't sleep last night. And then when she got up and turned on her computer, she says, I always get my coffee and then I turn on my computer. She said she found my email and that it changed everything. You know, little love goes a long way. You know, if you want to maintain your happiness, you got to stay out of judgment. You got to stop reacting to people. Even if they're annoying as hell, you got to stop reacting to them and stay in your joy. It's true. You got to do it. Let's see. Extremely happy people are accountable for their lives. Extremely happy people do not blame people for the conditions of their lives. There's no one to blame. Even yourself. Even if you end up saying, well, I really screwed up, that doesn't help either. You got to let it be okay, no matter what. Even if it's somewhat of an inanimate object, you cannot give it the power of saying that it's screwing up your life. like I did with my computer a couple weeks ago when it crashed. And I was very indignant and very, very whiny about it for a couple of days. And then I went off to convocation without a computer. No computer for a week. It was heaven. Yes, I had 800 emails when I got my computer back. I don't care. It was a wonderful week that I really got to relax and enjoy it without having to deal with all that. Do you know they have retreats now where they actually take away your smartphone and your computer and make you have a restful time? Well, I had one that I wasn't even planning on, and it was wonderful. So it's all good, you know? God's even in the broken computer. It's really okay. There's no one to blame. Everything fits together perfectly. No one to blame, no matter what. You want to be happy, absolutely don't blame. Extremely happy people focus on what's important. So what's important? How many people think that the stuff in your life is the most important thing? You've been around here for a while. Stop that in the back. It's not. Your relationships are the most important thing. At the end of your life, the things that will be important to you, this has been great research done on this. The most important thing is who you loved and who loved you. That's what's going to make the difference. Not that I don't like stuff. I love stuff. Have you seen my shoes? I love stuff. So, I'm not saying don't get your stuff. Get all the stuff that you want, but don't tie your happiness to your stuff. I had a wonderful conversation with a young man in New Jersey a few weeks ago when I was up there speaking at a conference. And he was explaining to me how it's better to be successful than happy. And the way to be successful is to want something out there and claim as soon as you get it, you'll get happy. But then, of course, when you get it, you set another goal and you say, I'll be happy now when I get that. So you never really get happy, but you get a lot of stuff. And we took a few minutes to talk about that and to think about, is it possible to get stuff and be happy at the same time? It absolutely is. In fact, you'll get more stuff being happy than you ever will struggling through life to get your stuff. Happiness generates a positive environment for stuff to show up. In the midst of all that, your joy, your extreme happiness will touch other lives around you. It is contagious. It spreads out. So you'll find yourself surrounded by happy people, having a joyous experience, and you still get your stuff. Not a bad plan, huh? Extremely happy people stay in gratitude. I love to talk about gratitude. And being as it's November and it's our theme, it's a good time to remind everybody about gratitude. Gratitude is one of the most powerful spiritual tools that we have. Because when we are grateful for something, we are automatically telling the universe we want more of that. But what we tend to do as human beings is focus on the things that aren't working, that we're not grateful for, that we wish would change. So what do we get? We get that. So I teach people and practice in my own life to not feed those things that aren't working. I may know they're there. I may need to deal with some stuff around it, but put the vast majority of my energy and my emotion into the things that are working. And the best tool for that is gratitude. Being grateful for the things in your life. And the main things, of course, you get. You're grateful for your partner. You're grateful for your home. And you're grateful for your job. Great. Are you grateful for your neighbor? Are you grateful for your boss? Are you grateful? And if you're not, what is it about your boss that you could be grateful for? What element of that person and the way they do their work could... Nothing. No. There's something there. Find it. Be grateful for that. And then what happens is that person reveals more of that in their relationship with you. Look for that little kernel of goodness. Look for that wonderful little gem that's buried somewhere. And then focus on it and be grateful for it. And you will find that your life starts filling up with those kinds of things. And all those things that used to annoy you, they go away. They're not a problem. They're not part of your experience anymore because you're so focused on the things that are working and you're so good at finding them that everything looks different. Gratitude is a powerful tool. And I use it every day. And I encourage everyone around me to tell me what they're grateful for. It's a common question I ask. What are you grateful for today? But they come up with something. They come up with something wonderful because there's always something there. Always. In every circumstance, in every situation. Let's see. Extremely happy people are exceedingly generous. Boy, you've got that time and down back there. Exceedingly generous. What does that mean? I have found that being generous in my life is the key to being prosperous because there's a flow. There's this dynamic flow that happens. And the only way to prime that, to encourage that, to increase that is in my giving. It's never in my wanting. It's always in my giving. So I'm looking for places to give. And I want to thank you, Dr. Heather, for your comments about our website, because that's important to us. We give everything away. We give away our classes. We give away our talks. We give away there are books on there. There's some great books on our website for download. We give away everything we can think to give away. And what happens is the universe supports us amazingly well. And that's the way we do it. And I know that this community functions exactly the same way. And that in that flow, great and wonderful things happen. And there's never a wanting. There's always an opportunity to give more. You can't outgive God. And giving money, of course, is a big part of that. What I have experienced is that people who are tithers are happy people. I don't know a single tither that isn't a happy person. It sort of goes together. That being generous, that being disciplined, that being in that dynamic flow is part of being happy. I'm not sure what the dynamics are there, but it's absolute in my experience. And then again, I know a lot of people who would rather be unhappy so that they can keep their money. And, that's okay. Everybody gets to play the way they want to play. But if happiness is important to you, try that idea of being extraordinarily generous. Radically generous in your life. I do silly games with it. I love paying the toll for the person behind me in line at a toll booth. Just to look in my mirror and see the look on their face. I don't believe in altruism. I don't think that you can give anywhere without getting something back. But I do believe in giving, and I have found it to be an extraordinary tool. So generosity is something that happy people are into. They're into giving into life, and they get back way more than they give because that's how it works. And the final one on my list here is extremely happy people find God in everything. Because no matter what, there's nothing going on that doesn't include God. Fact is that everything exists in the expression and experience of God. That's all there is. So the question is, can we see it? Can we look at a mundane circumstance and find the divine? Emerson said, even in the muck and mire of things, something sings. And that thing that sings is the presence. It's in you, it's in me, it's everywhere, it's always. So when a circumstance either seems average, mundane, insignificant, or difficult, challenging, troublesome, God's in the midst of that. And it fits perfectly into your life because you somehow have created the awareness of that in that moment. And what something wonderful is trying to be revealed to you. You're wanting to know. And if you'll take the time to know, rather than falling into judgment and seeing something that's not working, if you can see that God's in there and simply allow it to reveal itself, it will. And then what happens is all that stuff that you don't like about it just sort of dissipates away. And you get it. And it used to take me months to figure that out. But if you do that as a discipline, what happens is you see it immediately and the problem is gone. And the person that was not handling things well is not a problem anymore. They're being this wonderful presence now. It's amazing how it works. I guarantee you that's what you can do in your life is find God in the midst of everything. And if you do, you will find your happiness intact within you. Nothing can be in your way because it's all God. Without exception, it's all God. So these are ideas that I've come up with and that I support in demonstrating that extreme happiness is your choice. It's your opportunity. You can do it if you want, and if you choose, you can have that level of happiness for every day, every moment of your life. But if you don't believe me, I have some other experts that want to speak to you about that. The first one is on the next slide. And it comes from Oscar Wilde. And he said, life is too important to be taken seriously. That's a quote that sits right outside the door of my office. I want people to think about that before they walk in. He said that after he'd been imprisoned for being a homosexual for several years. Then he said this. Think about that. And then there's Deepak. Deepak says, nothing is more important than connecting with your bliss. Okay, well, the man seems to have some things figured out in life. Maybe you want to believe Deepak on this, and I understand that nothing is more important. Nothing is more important. He and my wife obviously have this thing going on. Then we've got, there he is, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, who says, I believe that the very purpose of life is to be happy. No one's happier than this man that I've seen. So if he can do it in his circumstance, in his situation, with his people, then we can do it in our lives. We can be happy. And then the great singer and songwriter, Bobby McFerrin, said, and he received this from his teacher, his guru, Meher Baba, don't worry, be happy. What do you think? You want to do it? All right, let's be happy together. I love you very much. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, my dear. That was fun.